and Councilmember Campos will tell us more.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Fred Korematsu once said, "If you have the feeling that something is wrong, don't be afraid to speak up." When fear eclipsed freedom, Fred Korematsu chose to resist, insisting that constitutional rights must endure even in times of crisis. His life reminds us that courage is extraordinary and that loyalty to our democracy and our Constitution sometimes demands resistance. You will learn more about Fred Korematsu from Richard Konda, and may we carry these lessons forward with vigilance, courage, and an enduring commitment to justice. It's now my honor to welcome the Executive Director of the Asian Law Alliance, Richard Konda.
Thank you, Councilmember Campos, for honoring Fred Korematsu. As you know, in 2010, the state of California passed the Fred Korematsu bill, making January 30th the first day in the United States named after an Asian American. Beginning in 2016, local organizations, including the Japanese American Museum in San Jose, Fred T. Korematsu Institute, the Asian Law Alliance, and other groups have organized the Fred Korematsu Day of Civil Liberties and the Constitution. The 2026 event was held on Saturday, January 24th, with the theme of Solidarity in Silicon Valley, Defending the Civil Liberties for All. Thank you, Council Members Campos, Kame, and Tordios for attending. Before I speak about Fred Korematsu, I'd like to invite members of the City Council, City staff, and the public to attend the 46th Annual San Jose Day of Remembrance Program presented by the Nihonmachi Committee on February 15, 2026. The Day of Remembrance Program commemorates the signing of Executive Order 9066 on February 19, 1942 by Franklin Roosevelt. That executive order resulted in the incarceration, detention, and removal of 125,000 U.S. residents of Japanese ancestry. Please attend the Day of Remembrance program at the San Jose Buddhist Church Betsuing at 632 North 5th Street from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. There'll be a candlelight procession through Japantown and community speakers as well. I was honored to have met Fred Korematsu on a number of occasions. He attended Asian Law Alliance fundraising events in San Jose, as well as the annual San Jose Day of Remembrance program. Fred Korematsu was a true civil rights hero because he resisted the unlawful incarceration of Japanese Americans by the U.S. government all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. The U.S. Supreme Court upheld the government's claim of military necessity for the curfew, exclusion, and detention of Japanese Americans. Years later, researchers found reports, notes, and memorandum written by government attorneys and high-slated leaders, which showed that the Department of Justice and the War Department suppressed, altered, and destroyed important evidence. This evidence demonstrated that, 1, government prosecutors suppressed authoritative intelligence reports showing Japanese Americans were loyal. 2, reports submitted to the U.S. Supreme Court were altered to support the government's position. 3, the allegations of espionage by Japanese Americans were known to be false by government attorneys who failed to inform the Supreme Court of this deception. Fred Korematsu's conviction was overturned based upon misconduct of the government prosecutors and was a key element in the movement for redress and reparations for Japanese Americans. Until his death in 2005, Fred Korematsu continued to speak up in defense of civil liberties for all. That is the lasting legacy of Fred Korematsu. He spoke out after September 11, 2001 on how the United States government should not let the same thing happen to Muslim Americans and Arab Americans as what happened to Japanese Americans. When prisoners were detained in Guantanamo Bay for too long, he filed 2 briefs with the Supreme Court and warned the court not to repeat the mistakes of the Japanese American incarceration. If he were here today, I'm sure he would speak out against President Trump's mass deportation and attacks on our communities. He would be appalled at the mass ICE agents killing, harassing, and terrorizing citizens and non-citizens. He would be shocked that racial profiling was the basis of warrantless searches and arrests. It would make Fred Korematsu sick to his stomach to see children being used by ICE to lure payments out of their houses. With the Super Bowl less than a week away, We must all remain vigilant and united against this invasion by Trump's mass secret police. Thank you, and I'd like to now introduce Jordan Tachibana from the Korematsu Institute. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to thank the City Council, and especially Councilmember Campos, for the commendation. I'm a former Korematsu Institute intern, so a few of you may know me as a staffer in the area. I'd just like it on the record that if I've ever gone on your nerves or your staff's nerves, everything I learned from Karen. And if she were here today, she's in Los Angeles, she would want to highlight part of her father's story that talks about courage in your convictions. In 1944 and again in 1983, when he originally raised his cases in the court of novices, he was nationally ostracized and alienated from the Japanese American community. There were national publications that criticized his decisions on both occasions. And it's an important lesson that sometimes the right decision and the principled decision is not the safe one. And you have to have courage in your beliefs in order to stand tall in the face of history. In the face of inconceivable cruelty that we're seeing every day now, I call upon elected officials everywhere at the city, local, state, and federal levels to stand strong in their convictions and remember that making the safe decision will not be the one that is reflected in history. In 80 years, there will be more grandchildren like myself, the granddaughter of immigrants who were in these concentration camps. Please keep them in mind as you continue to make your decisions and represent our constituencies. Thank you.
Thank you. We must all remember and not forget the Japanese internment and how the Japanese Americans were treated during that time.